For this question, we're going to find the center, the radius, and the intercepts of the circle with the given equation and then sketch the graph. The equation that we're given is x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y plus 4 equals 0. Now this is the equation of a circle, but the equation of the circle is written in general form, which is not very convenient. If the equation was written in our other form, our standard form, it would be written like this: x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And when the equation of the circle is written in this form, it's really easy to identify the center. The center is hk, and then the radius. So what we want to do is we want to take our equation that's in general form and turn it into standard form. And the process that we use to do that is called completing the square. So this is the method that we're going to use, completing the square. So we start with our equation, which is x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y plus 4 equals 0. And to start this completing the square process, we group the x's together, we group the y's together, and then we're going to move the constant to the other side. So we want to group these x's together and write x squared plus 4x. Then we want to group the y terms together. So we get plus y squared minus 6y. And then this constant of plus 4, we want it to be on the other side of the equation. So we're going to subtract 4 on both sides, and that would give us an equals -4. So that's how we start. And then we focus on each group individually. So we focus on the x group, and we focus on the y group. And what we want to do is come up with what I like to call the magic number. The magic number is what's going to make this work out. It's what's going to make our x group turn into this x minus h squared, and it's going to make the y group turn into y minus k squared. That's why it's called completing the square. That magic number is what allows you to factor this so that it's perfect square. So we need to get the magic number for the x group. So this is for the x. So to get the magic number for the x group, you're always going to start with the coefficient of the x. So we're starting with 4. And we're going to divide that number by 2 and then square it. So you always start with that coefficient and then divide by 2 and square it. So that's going to give me 4 over 2, which is 2, and then 2 squared is 4. So the magic number for the x group is 4. Let's find the magic number for the y group. So to find the magic number for the y group, we're going to start with the coefficient of that y term, -6. Divide that by 2 and square it. -6 divided by 2 is -3, and -3 squared is 9. So the magic number for the y group is 9. So what I want to do is add the magic number to the x group, but I have to balance the equation and do the same thing on the other side of the equation. I also want to add the magic number to the y group, but I have to balance and do the same thing on the other side of the equation. So to my x group, I've got x squared plus 4x, and I'm going to add that magic number of 4. But on the other side of the equation, I need to stay balanced, so So I'm also going to add 4 to the other side. Then I do the same thing with the y group. I've got y squared minus 6y, and I'm going to add the magic number 9. And I have to balance by doing the same thing on the other side of the equation. So on the other side of the equation, I have negative 4 plus 9. That works out to be 9. And then once again, we have our x group and our y group. And in our x group, that magic number now made this a trinomial, which will factor. And not only will it factor, it's going to factor into a perfect square. So this x squared plus 4x plus 4 will factor. X times x is x squared. 2 times 2 is 4. And then for the middle term, we also have 2x plus 2x gives us the 4x in the middle. So it factored, and because they have the same factor, we can write that as a square. X plus 2 times x plus 2 is x plus 2 squared. The same thing happens with the y group. This factors, and not only does it factors to become a perfect square. So we have y times y being y squared, 3 times 3 being 9, and we need negative 3's to make that negative 6y in the middle. So y minus 3 times y minus 3 is y minus 3 squared. Carry down that 9. So now we've rewritten this equation in standard form. So we took it from general form and now it's in standard form. And now that it's in standard form, we can much easier find these pieces of information about the circle. We've got the center. The center is negative 2, 3. The radius. On the other side of the equation, we have the radius squared. So we have 9. That's the radius squared. So the radius is 3. And then we need to do calculations to find the intercepts. Okay, so let's find the intercepts. We find an x-intercept by letting y equal 0. So we've got our equation of the circle being x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 9. And I'm going to let the y equal 0. That's x plus 2 squared plus 0 minus 3 squared equals 9. X plus 2 squared plus 0 minus 3 is negative 3. And then negative 3 squared is a positive 9. And I'm going to use a method called the square root method to solve this equation. In the square root method, you isolate the square and everything that it's attached to. So isolating it means I want it to be the only thing on one side of the equation. So I'm going to subtract 9 so that I can isolate the square and everything it's attached to. And then I'll get rid of the square by square rooting both sides. The square and the square root cancel each other out, leaving me with x plus 2. When you square root a square, you do get a plus or minus symbol on the other side, but this is a 0 on the other side, so we don't need that plus or minus. So then I want to get x by itself, so I'll subtract 2, and x equals negative 2. So this circle would only have one x-intercept, and that is at negative 2. Then we're going to find the y-intercept. You find a y-intercept by letting x equal 0. So once again, we have our equation of the circle being x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 9. We'll substitute a 0 in for x, and then solve the equation that remains. So we have 0 plus 2 is 2, and then we want to square it. 2 squared is 4. And I'm going to use that same method for solving this equation. I'm going to isolate the square and everything the square is attached to. So I'll subtract 4 on both sides to isolate that square. Y minus 3 squared equals 5. I'll do the square root on the left so that I can cancel out the square. The square root and the square cancel each other out. I'm going to gain that plus or minus symbol on the other side. And this time we keep it because we have something other than 0. And square root of 5 can't be simplified anymore because 5 is not a perfect square and it doesn't have any perfect square factors. And I'll add 3 to both sides, and we have y equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 5. So we have two y-intercepts, a y-intercept at 3 plus square root of 5, and another y-intercept at 3 minus square root of 5. Thank you for checking out my videos. Have a great day.